In the previous video on stimuli presentation, we introduced two common approaches for how to present stimuli via the trial system or CSV-based data frames. Now let's discuss controlling the timing of the stimuli presentation. First, we will explore frame settings. Then, dynamic control through Labvanced event system. So through the frame settings, you can quickly specify how long a frame should have a duration for. We will add a fixation cross to display for 250 milliseconds. And set the stimuli length for 750 milliseconds. Let's see it in action. With just a few clicks, we were able to set up a fixation cross across all trials and set the stimuli to display at fixed intervals. In other cases, stimulus presentation is more dynamic. This is where events come in. Events are composed of triggers that execute specific actions when defined conditions are met during an experiment. We will now cover two common examples of dynamic stimulus presentation. First, where presentation is dependent upon the participant's behavior, for example, a click. And second, where stimulus onset is delayed by a fixed amount of time. In the data frame we set up earlier, the event was automatically created for us with an on-frame start trigger. Side note, if you are working with a trial system, you need to set up this event by adding the trigger. From the Events dialog box, there are many options to choose from. The pre-selected frame start option simply means that as soon as the frame starts, the event will occur. Let's modify this a bit to get a sense of how events can work for dynamic stimuli presentation. By selecting the button, click Trigger to be the new trigger. For the target, there is no option. So we need to add an object to the editor. In this first example, we will show how to make the image visible upon a button click. Back in the event now, we can now specify the target for the trigger. However, we have to set the starting visibility of the image object to 0 because its presentation will be click dependent. To control its visibility, a setObject property action is needed. Since we already have it here, we can just expand it, duplicating it to make it faster to edit, selecting the visibility property and then giving it a constant value of 1. Let's check it out. At this point, only the button is shown. Upon clicking on it, the image appears because its visibility is changed to 1 in the background. Pretty cool. Now, we will cover the second example where there is a delayed onset for a second stimulus to appear. So let's revert everything back to how it was before by deleting the object button, setting the image visibility back, and returning the event back to on frame start. Let's add a second image. This is the stimulus that will be delayed. You can also set other stimuli types like audio to be delayed in a similar fashion. We will set this second image to have a visibility of 0 like we did before. But first, let's create and select the delayed action under the control actions. Let's specify that after 500 milliseconds, this action of making the second image visible will occur. Like we did before, the image's visibility is assigned to a constant value of 1. But because this is encased in a delayed action, this will only occur after the 500 milliseconds have passed. Now let's set the default state of this second image to have a visibility of 0. One more thing, at this point we can also set up a way for the experiment to progress forward. So let's add another delayed action that specifies 200 milliseconds after the second image appears to jump to the next trial. By placing this action inside the other one, this delay builds on top of the preceding one. Time to test it out. And just like that, the fixation cross appears, followed by the main stimulus image and the delayed secondary image. Then the trial progresses after 200 milliseconds. If you have any questions about implementation or feasibility of your project, you are welcome to contact us.